When I was in college, and short time before and after, so high school, college, and a couple years after, I had this habit of asking people if they liked their jobs. About 90% would say no. And I started really asking, what does it mean when the vast majority of people spend the vast majority of their waking hours doing things they don't want to do? It's a hugely important question that none of us ever face. And when I was in college, I was not particularly happy, and I would ask my fellow students, do you like what you're doing? And most of them would say no, but as soon as I get out of here, I'm going to buy myself a nice new car. A lot of them were talking about what they were going to do when they retired. So this is 20-year-olds talking about what they're going to do when they're 60. And that seemed just incomprehensible to me. And a lot of it, we think sometimes, we ask, so what's the point of evolution? And, humans, of course, are the point of evolution so that we can all work jobs we hate. And at the time, I went to college, and through the summers I worked at NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. The job wasn't bad. It was okay, but I didn't really like it. I mean, I didn't like the notion of selling my time. And I kept thinking, the real point of life is probably dogs, because I go to work and they're lying in the sunshine on the grass, and then I come home from work and they're still lying on the sunshine and the grass. And meanwhile, I spent 8 hours working. And I remember a really important day. It was late July, I think, or early August. And it's a very nice day outside. And I'm sitting down in where I worked. I was in the basement, and then they had sort of a half basement. And then you could add windows at ground level that were like 3 feet up. And I'm working on the computer, and I look up at the clock, and the second hand is just going tick, tick, tick. And it's about like 1 o'clock. And then I work for the next 4 hours, and then I look back up at the clock, and it's 1:15. I'm thinking, oh man, this is just I can't do this. And then I can still remember, this is back when the computer screens were dark green with the light green letters. And I remember looking at my hands. I put my hands out in front of me, and it suddenly occurred to me that selling hours is just like selling fingers, in that we have only so many hours in our lives. And likewise, we only have so many fingers. And one hopes that we have more hours than fingers. But nonetheless, when you use up an hour, it's gone, and it's gone forever. And so it suddenly occurred to me that, it's like, well, I would never sell this, my little baby finger, I don't use it very much. So you can have this one for $7. And, this one I use more. So this one's going to cost you $8. And frankly, Mr. Boss, you can have this one for free. But the point is, it occurred to me that you can look at hours, and you can look at time, you can look at days as though, they are, I hate the word resources, but they are finite resources. They are finite. You only have so many of them. And when they're gone, each one's gone for good, just like a part of your body if it's gone. And we worry so desperately. There's a visceral feeling if you see in a horror movie or something where somebody has the bad guys cut off the good guy's finger. That's that amputation of a body part is horrendous and horrible and rightly terrifying. But when we have a systematic amputation of the days of our lives, that's called normal, and that's working, and that's just completely routinized. And I'm not suggesting that every moment of every day, it doesn't really work. You sometimes hear people say, you have to live like every day is your last day of your life. And it's like, no, because we still have responsibilities for the future. And if you live every day as though it's the last day of your life, maybe smoking feels good, but if you presume that you're going to live long enough to die of lung cancer, then, you still need to make decisions regarding the future. But that doesn't alter the fact that we should be aware at every moment that this is a moment that's never coming back, as aware as possible. I think about this. This informs my leisure time choices, that I will sometimes think as, it's a cliche. You watch a terrible movie, and then you think, wow, that's an hour and a half I'm never getting back. And I'm not suggesting that we never watch movies. I'm not suggesting we never watch sporting events. I'm not suggesting we never play pinball. I'm not suggesting we never, quote, waste, end quote, time. I'm just suggesting that we be aware that every day we are walking and we are one step closer to the front of the line. And at the front of the line is when you give your life and your body to somebody else. And that's what keeps life going. And I'm just saying that life is really great, and that we should respect our hours just as we respect our body parts.